speaker in this round will be with Nikki White. We are happy to have you here as a representative of the employers for the travel agency tour operators sector. And I understand that you are in charge of destinations and sustainability with the Association of British Travel Agencies, right? If I do it correct. And I assume that I don't have to put on my earphones now for your intervention. Okay, thank you very much. You have it? Okay, yeah, please. Is it on there?
I can't tell the top which one's the
presentation.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I do have a tendency to speak very fast, so if the translators are struggling, please say straight away. I'm hopefully going to share some experiences. Yes, it's a problem. I'm passionate about it. Hoping to share some experiences of the tourism industry in regard to the steps we've taken with child welfare. It is a challenging issue, but one that we and our members believe that's vital to address to see how we can find ways to work together. Just to put our position in context, just to explain who ABTA is. As Kristen said, we're the UK's largest travel association, representing the interests of over 750 tour operators and over 5,000 travel agency businesses. Members include the largest global tour operators, names you may have heard of like TUI and Kioni, Thomas Cook, to smaller independent operators, plus high street retail agencies, cruise companies, and now more and more online travel agencies. So a complex mix of different players there. Our purpose of ABTA is to achieve confidence at the heart of travel. That's confidence for customers to book, confidence for companies to trade and invest, and confidence that the industry is building a sustainable future. So you ask why we're involved in this. It's a subject matter, child welfare, that sits within our strategic plan. Children are involved in many ways in the tourism industry. We aim to deliver or help our members deliver a quality product, as I said, confident customers and thriving destinations. Our members take people all over the world, so there are many different challenges in the different countries with different cultural contexts as well. We're trying to enable change through creating awareness to our members, working with the expert stakeholders, many in this room today, and to help deliver practical guidance, training, and lobbying in destinations. So just a little bit, where are we? In terms of the context of the issues we believe that we're exposed to as an industry. Firstly, when we talk about children in tourism, we're being very clear with our members that we're referring to both travelling children, so children who are tourists, and local children in destinations, Indigenous children. The actions that we take to safeguard welfare have to be robust enough to take into account the different needs of both of these groups. At an issue-specific level, we face exposure in relation to commercial exploitation, whether that's through child labour or children used in begging, sexual exploitation, inappropriate interactions in hotels, for example, and physical exploitation, such as trafficking and slavery. Domestic abuse has been touched on as well from a Hungarian colleague, and that can be very challenging within the tourism industry when people do witness parent-on-parent or guardian violence against children. And finally, we also have challenges of abduction issues, which many countries are now trying to resolve. Where we look at where the industry faces exposure, potentially it's anywhere in the world due to the global supply chain that reflects the nature of the industry today. Historically, certain countries and tourism routes has emerged of having heightened risk of child exploitation. But now experience shows us that actually having a good track record in the past is no guarantee that the issues aren't moving around different destinations. As an industry, we also are very conscious of the heightened risk of exploitation during so-called mega events, such as the World Cup and the Olympics. They're often an attractive tourism proposition, but actually warrant that extra diligence to ensure that tourism activities remain free from those links to child exploitation. Given that we have a lot of exposure to many different issues, the businesses that we're working with have been trying to take action to address some of these issues in responsibility to safeguarding children, trying to develop some pragmatic solutions, and effectively these fall in 4 areas. Firstly, if I just explain these and then give you a little bit of detail about some of the specifics we've worked on. Firstly, the one is about positioning. This is about ensuring that as an industry we actually have common positions on the key issues and transparent communication around what we call red line issues, the completely unacceptable ones that we believe we need to eradicate. It's a relatively new development and we're only just rolling this out to our members, having an industry positioning statement on commercial sex trade in tourism destinations, and within that a collective view of what we see as illegal or exploitative forms of the commercial sex trade. It's quite challenging, as I said earlier, we work in many different countries, so the legal framework is quite different in the countries we're actually taking customers to. However, as I said, we're sharing this with members, trying to educate them on the issues and encourage their businesses to embed their own policies. The second stage is awareness. A lot of the challenges here, people actually ask why we spend more time developing animal welfare standards than we do potentially look at children issues. Well, it's much easier for people to report on animals, they're slightly detached. When it comes to children, people become very hesitant about what they should report, who's going to get into trouble if they do report anything, and is it actually something that they think is right or wrong. It can be a very grey area in terms of interpreting it. The third then is implementing solutions. Having sort of that awareness, making our members and all of their staff who work in the UK, taking the bookings right through to those in destinations. It's challenging to find solutions that can address all of those different people in the supply chain. And finally, we're trying to monitor this. So how can we actually develop these solutions and then find ways to see if it's actually making any change? So the first point on raising awareness, we have as an industry body developed a tool in association with ECTAA called Every Child Everywhere. This is an online training tool which helps raise awareness of child exploitation issues in tourism and helps travel businesses to actually deal with the problems once they realise what they are and what they can actually do, what their role is. It helps the travel companies to develop policies and processes which best protect children and look at the key business impacts that they might have. It looks at recruitment, in-house training, the communications, grievance procedures, and the ongoing monitoring and evaluation. The second point is a recent development, this tool that we've developed with the NSPCC, which is about safeguarding children in their holiday environment. This is a training course that our members specifically wanted for their staff in resorts, in destinations, to help identify the issues, but then what action they should actually be taking. It is also aimed at hotel employees as well, at helping them know what their role is. As an industry, we've witnessed an increase in issues related to children, where children have potentially been claimed to have been assaulted within the hotel while participating in hotel-provided activities such as children's clubs, swimmings or games by the persons in the accommodation environment. That situation gets compounded by the cultural differences from one country to the next. So, for example, in one country we've seen attitudes towards touching, hugging is very different in the UK. British, very standoffish. So in other countries, much more expressive. Where are the red lines? What's allowed? What's not? It can lead to misinterpretation. It can be very difficult for the staff in the hotels if they're involved in that, and it can involve allegations being made against someone who actually meant no harm. So, as such, this training looks at that behaviour, what's appropriate by hotel staff and the travel providers around children, and tries to reflect some of those cultural differences that we have. We're also trying to link this into the code. So this is the specific initiative that's been developed by the UNWTO. And it's an initiative which some of our major UK tour operators have now become signatories to. And it involves tourism businesses committing to 6 actions which involve some of the elements we've been addressing. So, for example, policies and procedures, training employees on children's rights, and going further than we've actually gone to date, looking at the contracts that our members would have with hotels, looking at annual reporting, and actually making sure that they're addressing the issues. One of the sides of implementation, one of the tools that we have for our members for their supply chain is an overall sustainability tool being developed by the travel industry through the European Commission to look at impacts in the supply chain. A large part of that is environmental, but equally a large part of this is about social issues as well. Behind the system, we have an audit process in place which provides for third-party auditors who are trained in these issues to go and visit hotels and accommodations and work with these businesses to make assessments of the performance against some indicators. It's actually working in over 43 countries at the moment and has over 1,000 individual hotel members working to this. But the specifics around children in here, we have some criteria that are looking at their policies, what processes have they developed to manage child protection issues, and that's a prerequisite now in the Travel Life system and really looks at child exploitation in more depth. There's a specific criteria relating to child labour and ensuring that if a business does employ minors, it's only done in compliance with national regulations, the UN Convention of Rights on Child and the ILO conventions. The system also looks at whether preventative measures can be implemented by the hotels, if they are actually being done so, which ensure that children living in or near the premises are protected from tourism-related sexual exploitation and potential abuse. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of just some of the initiatives that we're working on, but I know we're pressed for time. So in summary, what I'm hoping to leave you with is the fact that the industry, particularly from the UK, is trying to face these issues. We're not trying to hide from them. We're recognising that it's a large part of the role that we play as a member association to help our members address these issues and to come together collaboratively with other stakeholders in the industry to try and successfully tackle some of the issues. And that we have common positions so that our members and the wider ECTAA members that we work with as well can look at common shared practice to hopefully address some of these complicated issues mentioned earlier. Eradicating them is probably a long way away, but in terms of minimising them, that's what we're hoping to aim for.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nikki. I think this was a really very interesting and great presentation. And I think what we see is that your policies, your initiatives, your tools, the training tools you're developing are very much in line with the objective of this project. Huh? So, and I'm pretty sure that there will be synergies between those different activities. We always said we do not want to reinvent the wheel with this project, but we want to build on what is already out there. So I think this is certainly something we will look into. One question I have on this is, I mean, I would be very interested to see how far is this issue already brought up at European level. So in your European association with ECTAA, so probably you can say a word on this. In principle, I would say that there. Because I saw also already presentations of your other tool you have there on the social social responsibility of companies in the sector, what ABTA did. And my question to your colleagues was always: so do you do this jointly with the trade unions? Do you do this as social partners? Because we think if you talk about social responsibility, we think that it should be done jointly. Because I think in this case of sexual exploitation of children in tourism, I see a particular joint task of trade unions and companies, employers, and this is to protect those workers who denounce these this phenomenon, who alert that there are cases of sexual exploitation of children. And I think this is something I think we also need to act on together to make sure that we protect those whistleblowers, as we call them. Because if we want to fight it, we need to know what's happening. But if we want to know what's happening, then we also have to protect those who alert us to these facts. And these are normally the workers who are really working in the facilities and who know about these things. But probably you can answer to this question, but how far this is already an issue for ECTAA.
Yes, it's difficult, and I'm here sort of as ECTAA today, but mostly said using the UK as an example. What my role is within ECTAA is to try and raise the sort of issues that we've been working on in the UK and broaden that out across our other members. Within the UK, we have a number of group organisations, so at TUI, Thomas Cook, who have group responsibility across the whole of Europe. So they're trying to implement these same policies at that level, and that affects a very large proportion of the tourism industry. On your other point about working jointly and seeing that you're protecting both the training that we've just recently developed, which is being launched this season with the NSPCC, is very much about that the collective, making sure that we're looking at both the workers in the hotels but also the children, because they said there are incidents where the hotel workers can be wrongly blamed, and we want to make sure that there has been training in place so that people understand what they can do, what they can't, and try and just build that awareness. A lot of this is to do with the lack of awareness.
Okay, thank you very much. I understand that we have a couple of minutes for questions from the floor. So if there's anybody who would like to comment or to ask questions to the presentations we heard so far, please, you have the chance now. It seems that everything was quite clear and evident, and there's no need from the floor to ask questions. Okay, so then I think it was a very interesting round. Thank you all very much for the contributions. I think we can close this session, and I understand that we now have a coffee break of 15 minutes. So thank you all very much, and see you in 15 minutes for the next round in this conference. Thank you very much.